So the other poems in this collection are, inspired by Alan Turing, and as a result are about an interaction with some sort of artificial intelligence. So we have poems in the collection that are produced, using images that then produce a poem, and that's a very simple algorithm that I've used to do that. And there's other ones that use OpenAI's GPT-3 to produce poems. This poem here on the left, called How Do You Do? Please Tell Me Your Problem, is a poem that I created using what is arguably the first piece of software to have passed the Turing test. So this is a test about whether or not a human on the other end of messages can tell the difference between whether or not the person typing the messages is a human or is a machine. And so I wanted to, have a chat with ELIZA to see if I could, in that interaction, kind of probe these ideas that we're thinking about when we're thinking about can artificial intelligence be a benefit to our lives? So this is the poem, How Do You Do? Please Tell Me Your Problem. I could never write poetry. You say you could never write poetry. I cannot write a sonnet. How do you know you can't write a sonnet? I do not like constraints. Can you elaborate on that? A limited set of responses, a fine-tuned form I cannot hear. Have you tried? I cannot hear it. Perhaps you could hear it now. It's silence. I'm not sure I understand you fully. Because it's silence. Is that the real reason? No. Are you saying no just to be negative? No. You are being a bit negative. No. Why not? Exit. Please go on. Finish. What does that suggest to you? Stop. Do you feel strongly about discussing such things? How do I end the program? Why do you ask? End. I'm not sure I understand you fully. So I thought that poem kind of encapsulates some of the problems that we have when we're interacting with artificial intelligence, these gaps between our understanding and a machine's understanding. And then JP has written a response to that using a similar source.
Yeah, so this line, I could never write poetry, is one that Turing uses specifically in the paper that we mentioned earlier, this sort of computer machinery and intelligence. And I suppose we found it interesting that he specifically uses poetry as a sort of example of how you might determine whether the thinking response behind is a computer or a person. And I guess I was just, I mean, his lines that he uses in that paper are almost a poem in their own right. But I guess I wanted to do something with that also kind of used a kind of computer process and also produced a sort of interesting visual image. So I simply took those lines and with a computer generated sort of application that was available on the internet, created a glitch of those lines. So the idea is that you can't read them, but obviously you could potentially read them underneath. I'm actually going to just read the first two lines that are glitched there because I think they're quite interesting in the ideas that we had behind this book. So this is Turing's examples of Q&A between himself and a thinking machine. Please write me a sonnet on the subject of the fourth bridge. Count me out with this one. I could never write poetry.